Hey everybody, good weekend wherever you are. This is Doc Severson for the ReadySetCrypto OMNIA trade of the day for Sunday, the 22nd of August. All right, every week I look at the North Star of BTC versus the US dollar. This is a log chart on the monthly scale, and we can see this uptrend that we've had for quite a while. Now this is Coinbase. I'm using Coinbase instead of Bitstamp because the volume today is more important to watch Coinbase than Bitstamp. But in the past, we've had these rallies, which have led to big consolidations and bear markets. And here comes the next rally. And this so far has just been a 3-month correction, if you will. Now, last week I laid out the case for us being at least vigilant for making sure that this price didn't create a lower high and then roll over. And then we get a swing test, which is going to be somewhere down near 20,000. That still could be on the table. We have to be aware that things like this can happen because we saw a similar move back here in 2018. We had an initial flush to the downside. We had a big bounce back up, kind of a dead cat bounce, if you will. And then the flush began later on. So that lower high is a very important signal. It's a very difficult signal to handle. Because right now, everybody's gone bullish. Everybody has gotten to be complacent. We have very small investors jumping back into the crypto market again, which is all good, but not if it gets complacent. This is an excellent example of a runaway market that got complacent and required 3 months of correction to deal with this. So one of the things that's kept me at least on the right path has been this North Star, because I look at this chart and I say, that's not a downtrend yet. This is just a pullback. And if we go back out to the non-log chart or the linear scale, we can see just how big of a move this was. Now we can use some other tools like fib retracements. And one of the fib levels that we want to watch for here to let us know that kind of the coast is clear. I don't know if we could ever say that in financial markets, but it's about as close as we can to doing something like that, is to look for the 61.8% fib retracement. So from the very top of this move, get my toolbar out of the way. From the very top of this move, which was 60, let's just say 65,000, all the way down to 28,000 or so. So that's the swing to the downside that we care about. And we're seeing a retracement of that swing. We've gone past 38.2, the 50% retracement, and now we're approaching the 61.8% retracement. That is kind of like the last line of defense for the bear. So if the price gets above this level, which is just over 51,000, then more than likely we're going to see this fill in the triangle. And what that means is here's the triangle. That means that we're probably going to see all-time highs again up near 65,000 or higher. So far, so good, just looking at price. Now, looking at volume, the volume's been tailing off. We're not all the way through August yet, but the volume has been a little bit low. And I think a lot of this has to do with China, etc. And notice also that volume tends to peak as the price starts to run away. This is where people jump on board and just, tag onto this thing and grab onto the bumper and let it pull them higher. And so far, we haven't seen that quite yet. We're still in kind of the disbelief phase. Remember, all market movements like this go through a 4-stage phase where it starts from euphoria, and then we go into disgust, and then disbelief. Disbelief is after disgust. Disbelief is the second phase. And then we get into acceptance. And I think we'll have acceptance once we get above 51, 52. People will accept that markets are going higher. And then after acceptance, unfortunately, we get back up to euphoria, which ultimately will lead at some point to the next period of disgust. And then the whole cycle starts all over again. So right now, I think we're still kind of in disbelief, but we could be moving into acceptance here fairly soon. Now back down to the weekly chart on the linear scale. Let's bring out the fibs again, because we might expect to see some type of a pullback at some point. So pullback from the very beginning of this this rally up to where we are at this point. This is something that changes all the time. So the higher the price goes, the more that we have to pull up the swing. But talking about this, if this is the top of the swing, which we don't know yet, then we're likely to see the price pull back down to maybe 42,000 at 38.2 retracement, 50%, which is at 39.5, or as deep as 37,000, which is the 61.8% retracement. And this will also fall in with the 50-week moving average. So retracements happen all the time. We should not fear the retracement, because what it does is it gives us an opportunity to have the price print a higher low followed by a higher high. So this truly will change the polarity on the weekly chart if and when this will happen. Right now, we're still dealing with a downtrend, which has got a very strong, so far, move to a higher high, but we haven't had the full change in polarity with a higher low, higher high combination. Daily chart on Bitcoin looks good. Here's the death cross that everybody was talking about back in June. And it looks like the price, well, the price now is above the 200-day moving average, which is good. And a couple weeks from now, we'll probably see a golden cross with the 50 crossing up above the 200. I can't tell you how many times, and I said this back in June, I can't tell you how many times I've seen this death cross, and it's just a false signal most of the time. Most of the time, it's a false signal. Those times where it is true, usually this is such a trailing signal that most of the damage has already been done by the time that you get the death cross. So I'm not a big believer in this signal at all as being statistically significant. Okay, so we've done about all we can do with price and volume. Let's go out to the RSI Laguerre and see how things hang from an energy perspective. On the daily chart, tremendous amount of daily energy. This thing has been consolidating within kind of this broadening pattern range. The volatility has been increasing a little bit lately and ultimately resolving to the upside. A lot of energy here on the daily chart. If we go out to the weekly chart, which of course will change today, more than likely we're going to see this drop in energy from this extremely linear launch off of the downside. So the more time ticks by, the more that we're going to drop off these big red candles from the back, if we haven't done that already. And we're just going to be left with one extremely linear move. This will bring it into exhaustion, and we're going to have to pull back or go sideways at some point after that. Going to the weekly or the monthly chart looks great. It looked terrible back in March and April, because it's like, wow, this is unsustainable. It's super exhausted. It's going to have to correct. And we didn't quite anticipate seeing it correct vertically. But the good news there is that vertical correction, which it goes back from whence it came, is the fastest way for a chart to restore its energy, which is exactly what's happened. And you can see this happening now. And in another week or so, this is going to flip over to September, and I believe this will go even higher at that point. So guys, the net here is that everything really looks good. This looks good for us to transition back into an uptrend. Looks like it's happening right now. Probably the thing that needs to occur next is kind of a scary weekly move where the price drops back down to 40,000 or so. People are going to lose their minds, but those of you that understand market flow and structure will understand that this is necessary, absolutely necessary, to really separate the wheat from the chaff in terms of the investors that are out there. Those with weak hands will puke out at this point, and those with stronger hands will look to strengthen their position at this point in anticipation of that. Now, if this does create a lower high, lower low like this, then we'll address that if and when we get to that point. But so far, everything looks good. Okay, let's move over to Ethereum. Ethereum looks very much the same. Huge energy at this point. Wow, this is a huge energy spike. We should get movement here really soon. I probably said that last week, but I don't remember where we've seen so much consolidation on Ethereum. Now remember, consolidation does not necessarily mean that it has to break higher. from here. It can break to the downside, especially if the larger time frame charts are in exhaustion, which they're not at this point. But this doing something like this can stoke up a tremendous amount of negativity. Markets climb the wall of worry, so we can see it move from that point. So either way it breaks from here, I think is going to be positive. Okay, the real rock star over the last couple of weeks has been Solana. You can see this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 days. 8 days going from 44 and just about doubling over the course of fewer than that. Really just about 3 or 4 days, it just about doubled. And look at the volume. The volume is amazing. So if we look at this in different time frames, it doesn't matter. We're probably looking at a chart that needs to consolidate its gains for a while. So how can you get on board this one? A couple of different ways. You can look for a swing test. Swing test is going to be about 56. So a retest of this. So again, if the price drops, people are going to freak out, panic. But a retest of 56 might be a good entry, 56 to 57 for this. Too bad we can't sell puts on this. That would be great. But this would be a good one here, 56, 57. That's one way to look at this. If we look at this on a weekly chart, then we can draw the fibs on the weekly chart. Let's give that a shot here. And this whole weekly swing starts about 22, goes up to 82. So to me, the best confluence entry here is going to be combination of the swing test and the 38.2% retracement, which is about 59. 59 to 60, I think, looks to be probably the best and most realistic value entry at this point. I don't think we're going to get much of a chance to get below that, although it could do whatever it wants to do, and frequently price does. Now, looking through the market today, really we don't have much of anything making a huge move at all. A lot of them are, down 1%, up 1.5%, things like that. Across the board is really what we're seeing. Basic attention token looks strong today. It's been a very strong linear move for this. Waves versus the US dollar, little miniature cup pattern breaking out to the upside. Not a whole lot really that's in the top 20 that's worth going into. Some of the stronger coins lately have been Axie Infinity. This one just continues to kind of grind higher. Remember, there's 3 ways for a market which is in exhaustion to restore energy. One is to just go sideways. And one is also to keep going higher, but do so very slowly. And that third method, oh, by the way, number 2 is to just drop back down like this. And it's not doing this. Everybody's buying the dip on Axie Infinity. And this is why we're getting this third type of consolidation where the energy is actually increasing as it goes higher, but it's doing so by advancing very, very slowly. The other one we've been watching is Hex, and this is turning into an almost perfect cup with handle pattern. So here's the cup, here's the handle, consolidating up here, probably building up energy for the breakout. And the upside target is going to be the depth of the neckline down to the bottom of the cup. So if we go from 11 cents to 19 cents, so we're going to add on 8 cents onto that, and that's going to give us an upside target of 27 cents for the measured move. Again, probably you're not trading this versus the US dollar, but if you chart this in the same way, it makes it easier. All right, guys, that's all I got for this weekend. Again, another positive report. Everything looks good. We have to guard against being complacent and getting euphoric. It's all good news, but let's make sure we're looking at things from both sides of the coin to make sure that we're objective and that we know what to do if and when the price turns. All right, folks, have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday. Take care.